Could you make up your mind in tenths of a second? Probably not. Well, in baseball, you have to do that every single time a pitch is pitched. Hitting a baseball is the hardest thing to do in all of sports. You could take any other sport for as simple as something as hitting the ball, so like that's comparable to like throwing a football. Like hitting a baseball is so much harder because look at the professionals that play baseball. That's all they do for a living, and they're considered elite if they can do it 30% of the time. That just goes to show how hard hitting a baseball is, and that's why hitting a baseball is the hardest thing to do in all sports. Into my first point, I'm going to play a video of some of the pitches you will see playing on a baseball field.
Again, struck him out.
That's about all National League hitters have done all year is shake their heads as they go back to the dugout.
Strikeouts.
And a cut and a miss.
Important that he pitch ahead to do that.
Oh, a strike call. How about that? 3-2 breaking ball against the veteran catcher.
The 0-2. Swing and a miss. And Travis down on strikes, 4 strikeouts for Severino as the Blue Jays go down in order, and we go to the third.
About catching a guy like Hicks, and he said that pitch right there, the one that has sink. Now you add 102 to it, it makes it really tough.
Mike was telling us he has 2 fingers that still don't feel.
How after watching those videos can you disagree that hitting a baseball isn't the hardest thing to do in sports? Those few pitches there were just some of the pitches you'll see on a daily basis. When you have a pitch coming at you 100 miles an hour that looks like it's going to bounce and then all of a sudden it's right in the strike zone, that's impossible to do, and that's why it's so hard to do, and professionals can only do it 3 out of 10 times. According to an article written in 2016 by Science on Fiction, hitting a baseball is the biggest mental challenge in all of sports because if you take a pitcher that's throwing 90 miles an hour, for example, the ball typically takes 400 milliseconds to get to the plate, and then your brain takes 200 of those milliseconds to actually like understand the image and understand the pitch that's coming at you. And then it takes approximately 125 milliseconds for your body to be like, yes, I'm going to swing, and then actually to get your swing around. So that leaves only 75 milliseconds, and the average time to blink is like 120 milliseconds. So you have under half a blink to be like, yes, I'm going to swing. So like when the ball is coming at you, you have half of a blink. Like that just proves my point of why hitting a baseball is the hardest thing to do in sports, because your brain cannot function like it can in other sports. Like in other sports, you have more preparation or you understand what's happening. Baseball, it all happens on the fly. And that leads me also to my next point of in baseball, because of how much failure there is, it begins to toll on the athlete, and it's proven that when one is down, they do not perform at the same level they typically can. To now go along with the impossible physical aspect of baseball, now we're going to be talking about the mental aspect. Baseball is the most mentally draining sport because of how much failure is involved. Most athletic performance is based on confidence, and in a sport where you're striking out almost every day and just not playing good at all, you're not going to have a lot of confidence. I've experienced this firsthand from just not having a good day, going 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts. It really is just, it gets tough because like the next time I go up to the plate, how am I like going to be like, yeah, I'm going to hit this when I know like I've been so bad. Like and then once you get to that point, it just becomes next to impossible. You look at Mike Trout. Mike Trout's one of the greatest players of baseball of all time. He's playing now. In August 2017, he went on an 0 for 17 slump. That's next to awful. And just he's talked about it and said like, if I just kept my confidence up, I would have got out of it. But 0 for 17, like how can you say that you wouldn't just be done with baseball after that? Like that just adds to the fact of how hard hitting a baseball is, because you just get so down on yourself. And Digital Commons, an educational research website, conducted a research project that reflected in the confidence-performance relationship, found that performance affects confidence and confidence affects performance. That's kind of worded weird, but basically it's saying that confidence will affect your athletic performance. So if I go up to the plate saying I will hit the ball, they saw positive results compared if you're going up to the plate saying I'm not going to hit the ball. So baseball, when you take the physical aspect, pitches breaking horizontally last second, going 100 miles an hour at your face, and now this attitude looked upon when you're not playing good, it becomes impossible. And now lastly, I'm just going to talk about how hard it is to actually hit the little baseball. A baseball is so tiny and there's so much margin for error, and that is what makes it so hard. Okay, so now I have a baseball, just plain old baseball. According to Wikipedia, a baseball is about 9 inches in circumference. And now if you think about it, a bat, you have the barrel, but only about 2 inches of that barrel is actually good enough to hit the baseball good. So you're already having to line up 2 inches with a 9-inch ball when the ball is coming at you like 100 miles an hour. And according to Bleacher Report, an article written on curveballs stated that the average curveball moves within like 4 inches of a horizontal break. So let's say you're set on swinging at a pitch at this location. So you're swinging there, and now last second you have to adjust that 4 inches that curveball is going. So you literally have to move like the tiniest bit so you're able to hit that ball. Like, and no, tell me another sport that you have to, it comes down to that little every single time. That there is why baseball is the hardest sport. It's impossible to do physically. You look at professionals, they're considered good if they can do it 3 out of 10 times. They go to the Hall of Fame if they can do that. You look at the mental aspect of it, all the failure, getting down on yourself, you against the world. That's another reason. And now just to add on to the impossible part, hitting this little thing. Like, in no other sport is the ball this little where you're having to do something like baseball. And just baseball is the most, I guess there's a little bit of bias because I play baseball, but just looking at all their sports, I can go play football, I can go play hockey. I've done it. Baseball is the hardest sport. And to put into that, hitting a baseball is the hardest thing to do in all sports. There's multiple things in baseball, but swinging and hitting a 100-mile-an-hour pitch when it's moving, just there's nothing like it. Hitting a baseball, you go to the cage. My call to action to you guys is you go to a cage and you try and hit a 100 miles an hour pitch. I'll give you 100 tries. I guarantee you won't do it once.